In a recent video, you guys saw that we have the Z3 for sale, which is just one car. We actually have two now. Yes, it has come available. Let's get started. This is Mrs. Wizard's 2008 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. Yes, 600. Because it has dynoed at 600 horsepower. It has a bigger supercharger on it. Speaking of Mrs. Wizard, she just finished up a batch of more part works for sale. They're going to be auctioned on eBay. There's a link in the description below to take you there. They're going to be really sweet pieces. They always are. People love them. People email and say, I got your part. I love it. It's so cool. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. Click the link below. Now back to this thing. I mentioned in the recent video that Hoovy had marked this is his territory. It's not for sale. He wants it. But something else came up that caught his eye. He has purchased that, which you'll have to wait to see on his channel. And he freed this up. He said, Wizard, I know I told you I wanted the Mustang back, but I changed my mind. I have something else I purchased. You're free to let this one go. So it is for sale. And it has lots of power, Mrs. Wizard.
It is crazy fast.
We all see the memes of Mustangs flying into crowds. This one will fly through crowds at warp 9. It will kill people. That's kind of one of the reasons why Mrs. Wizard no longer wants to drive it, because that kind of thing is not, it's just really not her thing. Zooming around corners and doing crazy stunts and things, that's not her thing. And this thing wants to do that. And yes, it probably is the highest mile Shelby GT500 in the world. It has 211,000 miles. And it also has 0 things wrong with it. The AC's cold, the heater's hot, the cruise control works, no error warnings or any messages on the dash. It drives perfect. It has everything in working order. No leaks, no issues. It's really amazing with that many miles that it's had probably such a hard life, and yet it's still trucking along really nicely. So these things, when they're in perfect shape, museum quality, could be $45,000 to $50,000. An okay driver that's got 50, 60, 70, maybe 80,000 miles, is in good shape, $40,000, maybe 38, somewhere around that range. We're not going to be asking that much for this one. We're not going to be asking in the 30s or even in the 40s. We're going to be at $25,000. Basically because you don't need to fix anything. You can just get the keys and jump in and go for it, and it's ready to rock. Now, what have we done to this thing? What has all been fixed? Let's go over that list. I'll list them all out for you, and then we'll actually go around and look at those items, and then we'll get on the lift and show underneath real quick and go for a quick drive. When Hoovy first brought it here, it had a squealing belt, also had a bad water pump. We got a new water pump, new tensioner, new idler pulley, new belts. All that in the front of the engine has been taken care of. It also has all new sway bar links, all new sway bar bushings. The wheels have been refinished. I think I showed you guys a video on that of doing the refinish on it. It turned out pretty good. It has a brand new McLeod twin disc clutch that in itself was $1,500 just for the clutch. Very smooth. This is not an aggressive clutch that is really hard to push. It's very smooth, operates very well, but it's very heavy duty to handle the power that this thing puts out. It also has some door liners, brand new tires all the way around. Fluids have been serviced. It's had tons and tons of things done. Let's go ahead and look under the hood. It is dusty and dirty. It has 211,000 miles on it. You can see new belt, new pulleys, new water pump, all kinds of things like that. New antifreeze. It does have the old air filter on it, but that's part of some kit or something that come with that cold air intake. I'll just leave it like it is. It's a fairly new battery. And up top, no leaks, no issues. This is the reason why it has 600 horsepower, which I think at the wheels it was 570 or something along those lines. Hoovy confirms and tells me it was dynoed at 574 or something like that at the rear wheels, which means this engine is putting out 600 horsepower. This is a much bigger supercharger. It also has a different pulley on it, and it's been tuned to match up with that supercharger. So as if these didn't have enough power when they came out of the factory, it has even more than that. So that's why Mrs. Wizard has decided she doesn't want to hit crowds of people. Somebody else can enjoy this thing and rip roar around and do whatever they want to do with it. So under here, you don't really need to do anything. It's all clean as far as fluids and things. You don't need to fix anything. So let's take a look around this thing. The front and everything is in very good shape. This headlamp has no issues. It's not fogged out or anything wrong. It does have something going on with this headlamp. There's a little dust inside of it or something, but it works fine. As you go down the driver's side, you can see the wheels have been refinished. They're not all flaking and coming apart anymore. They actually look fairly decent. Got some new pads on there, and you can see the Brembo symbol. Brand new tires as well. GT500, which we know is a GT600 basically now. Again, refinished wheels, new tires. The paint looks very, very nice on this car. For the miles, it really shows very well. Got all the proper insignia. It's not fallen off over the years or anything. Everything's intact. Stock exhaust. There is a few things I want to show you guys. Nothing down here, but on the hood, we have some bubbling going on just in this area only. And on the windshield, we have 2 rock chips that are there towards the center of the windshield. So some of the things we've shown and need a little work here or there. Some of you might be thinking, those are good talking points where I can talk them down on their price. Wrong. It's $25,000, just as we've described and as we've showed you. But it's only small things that it needs, nothing serious. It doesn't need an engine rebuild. It doesn't need major teardowns. Just little stuff here and there. Let's let Mrs. Wizard show you guys around the interior. For 211,000 miles, it's actually very nice as well.
There we are, everyone. You can see 211,202 miles. So I've not put a whole lot of miles on here, but it was fun driving around town, and that's usually what I do a lot of. I have it in accessory mode, so you can see that all the light bulbs actually do work. Those lights are not on when it is driving, but you can definitely see it's got the speedometer that goes to 160 miles an hour, which I guarantee it will do. You can get a half a tank of gas. You can also see we have gauges for our water temperature, our oil pressure, and the boost for that supercharger. As you move up, you'll see it is a leather dash, and it is in really great shape. It's not cracked, there's no tears, and all the stitches are in great shape. They're not broken or peeling apart. Have a fun texture to this dash. It's kind of got a pebbly texture. Maybe go ahead and take down some of the light. There you go. Interesting. It's definitely not carbon fiber, and it's definitely not just steel. It definitely has a nice pattern. Has classic circle vents that have been around for a very long time, very classic to Mustangs. The one thing that's interesting is that we can turn off our traction control on the car, which might make taking out crowds even worse. If we look over here, this is our controls that will illuminate that bottom section there. You can see that my average miles per gallon was 13. Yikes. But we do have a Shaker 500 radio. It does say line in because you can attach in the center console a USB to connect your phone to the stereo system. Below, very simple circle dials for our HVAC system, and we do have controls for recirculate, AC, and for our rear defrost. And here's what takes out crowds. Yes, it is a 6-speed manual car. It is fun to drive. It really is fun, but it has just got a lot of horsepower. So if you're getting this car, be ready. It is so much fun to drive. But you can see we have red stitching on our leather shifter boot. One thing that is really fun is in the cup holder and in the footwells, you can change the color. It's called My Color, and it's set to my favorite color right now, but it can be all sorts of different shades as well. And it does keep that memory when you turn the car off. So that's one of those nice features that they've got to let you personalize your car a little. As you look in our center console, it is a little dirty in there. I will admit I didn't do much cleaning in there, and I didn't take out the penny that Hoovie left in there for me as well. So this is how I got it. So this is how Hoovie got it. But if you can see down there, this is where you can plug in that aux cable. We do have leather seats in there again, nice shape. We do have our lovely Cobra embossed into that center section of the seat, and our door cards are in really nice shape as well. You can see that the part there above the door handle has been replaced. It used to be leather, but it was peeling off, which is a very classic problem for Mustangs of this era. So we bought an entire thing, and you can kind of see it's slightly different color, but if I hadn't told you, you may not have noticed. Okay, on the camera you can notice it a little bit more, but in person you really don't see it very much. On our floorboard, you'll notice that we have Shelby GT500 with our Cobra embroidered onto our floor mats. Back seat, there it is. It's a standard back seat. Hasn't been used much. Can't imagine they were toting too many people around. I would not have been wanting to have been seated in the back seat for all 211,000 miles that are on this car, because it's just not much of a back seat. Headliner's in great shape as well. It's not sagging like so many other cars with this many miles. So here we are, back at the steering wheel. And you can see we've got our Shelby GT500 Cobra in the center of our steering wheel with controls just for cruise control. That is it. You can't control anything else on there because you're driving. Your hands on, one hand's on the wheel, one hand's on the gear selector. So not a lot of time in order to push all these fun little buttons. So that is it. So enough of this interior talk. Let's get this up in the air and see what all we did on the underneath.
So what does 211,000 miles look like? You're already picturing in your head the oil pans and everything under here is coated in oil. It's not, amazingly. Let's take a look. Here's our radiator and all the different coolers and things going on there, and no leaks. New sway bar bushings there. New sway bar links up inside of there. New front lower control arms. Same thing over here, sway bar bushings, sway bar links. Lower control arms, recent alignment, everything's dialed in perfect. Oil pan, this is from an oil change we had. It had a little bit of spilling happen there, but that's not from a leak. Motorcraft FL820S, that's the proper oil filter for these. So up inside this hole, you'll see a color red. That is the McLeod clutch. Very expensive, but works so good. Transmission is also dry. Our cats have not been deleted or cut out. They're in place, so if you live in a state that has emissions testing, you're going to pass. You'll be just fine. Here's our O2 sensors, everything's intact. Drive shaft is good and tight, nothing leaking there. Again, stock exhaust all the way out the back. Nothing leaking on our differential. New sway bar bushings here and here. It also has lower trailing arms. I forgot we replaced those as well. Those bushings are bad, if you remember in the previous video we did on this. The brake pads in the back were still good, so we left them alone. And stock mufflers as well, so it's not loud and obnoxious, but it sounds very, very good. So as you saw, no leaks, no drips, no runs, no errors, the whole baseball thing. Everything's dry underneath. The suspension is tight. Everything drives so good on this car. Let's get it back on the ground. So I promise you guys a quick cruise in it and let you hear the supercharger whine. This thing is so fast. It is blindingly fast. Let's go, guys. Supercharger, guys. We'll get down the road here and I'll get on it again for you. You can see the steering wheel is nice and straight going down the road. No pulling, no veering, no nothing. Very, very nice. Get to the outskirts of town here and into the across the border into Mexico. Okay, here we go, guys. For you guys to hit the crowds with it. Burn out in a second. Very, very fast. And as we're driving, again, no warning lights, no check engine light, no ABS light, no airbag light, no nothing light. It's happy as can be. So Hoovy has decided to let this one go, and it could be yours for $25,000. As you saw, no leaks, no issues, it drives straight. It does have a paint issue, a few chips and a few small things, a headlamp, but other than that, it runs and drives like a brand new GT500. And as you saw, it is very, very fast. No, we don't take payments. We don't want your broken PlayStation that's in a box. We want $25,000. That's what we want for this car. No trades. If you're curious about purchasing this, contact Crazy D in the office. Contact the phone number for the shop. The main shop number's on our website. He'll get you all the information and get you connected if you're interested and very serious about buying it. Definitely want to do a video to show you guys how so many miles on it, but it drives so good and it looks so nice. If you're curious what kind of tools that we use to work on this thing and get it to this tip-top shape, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All the tools we use in the shop here are listed for sale there, and we get a small cut if you purchase anything. We really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button here because there's more cars in this shop, which means more videos for you guys. Thanks for watching.